What's up, my broski dudeskies? My name is Sister Turley, and I had some technical difficulties here on this original video, so I was going to go in here and remake it for you guys to make sure the actual link to the track was out there. And the reason I had to remake it is because A, I had a crap load of audio spikes on the original video, and that was my bad, and then B, I really want to make sure whenever I release my custom tracks, I have them fully completed, I have the track link, I have everything, so that way people are not like, okay, you made a video on it, where's the link? That's retarded. What are you doing, Spencer? Like, I apologize for doing that in the past. That was really not smart of me. But I'm going to be actually making sure I get the track completely finished before I even think about making a video on it. So, and I have a lot more tracks coming up really soon, so be looking out for that. I got a sandy one coming out that I've not really made a lot of sand tracks out there, so I think a lot of you guys will enjoy that little bit of a refreshment going on. But then I'm going to make another icy type track, so that'll be cool. I've not made one of those in a cold minute, so wow, did those words not just come together perfectly right there? Sometimes things just come off the dome and you don't even realize it, and oh my gosh, I'm trying to act like I'm sounding clever, but that really was all on accident, I promise. But yeah, if you've already seen this original video, there's absolutely no reason to watch this video again. I'm not telling you to watch it again. There's no secret things I'm going to say in this video, and the actual track link is not any different from the one you guys got in the original video. That part of it's all the same, so you don't have to worry about that. The only reason I'm remaking this video is to make sure that I have the link out there for people that didn't get it in the original video, because this is the only way I actually release my tracks. I don't put them on the forums, I don't do all that crap, so that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go through the motions again, I'm going to talk about the track again. So like I'm saying, if you've already seen this video, you might get some deja vu action going on if you rewatch it, so you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to click off this video, and that's totally cool. So let me get into it, man. This is my custom track called Morning Trail, and it's one of those that has all of the trail elements kind of thrown into one. That's what's really cool about it, because it's got the uphills, it's got the rocks, it's got the logs, it's got the really tight in between the tree sections, it's got the wide open long through the water sections. It's pretty much got everything you can imagine would be on a trail track in one track, so that's kind of cool. But a lot of other things with the track is pretty tricky. So for instance, this really big hill coming up right here probably took me somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 20 attempts before I even hit it properly. So it's probably going to take you guys even more attempts than that, and it's a really big uphill. I recommend being on the 450 because you need that little bit of extra pep in your step in some of these hill sections, because the 250 and the 125 is probably not going to have the power to get all the way up it. I mean, it's all about having that momentum, but once you get about right here in this range right here, it makes it feel like I am not going to make it up, and I just got to hold it wide open, and you'll eventually get to the top, I promise. But it can be a little tricky if you've never really hit a section like that before. And this wonderful section, a lot of you guys are going to absolutely despise it, and I completely understand, but never forget, this is a trail track, okay? It's meant to be difficult, meant to be tricky, meant to be something that you're not just going to get on the first lap like a regular motocross track or a really easy supercross track. So embrace the challenge, embrace the technical difficult type sections, and embrace these uphills and rock gardens and different logs and stuff like that. And once you do that, it becomes a lot of fun, because you get a lot more reward, I feel like, when you're on a trail track and you finally make it up that big hill, or you finally get over that one section really good, or you finally find that secret line in some little tight corner section or whatever. And for me, like, these kind of tracks are cool racing on, because let's just say somebody somehow gained 30 seconds on you. Well, they could get stuck on a hill and have to turn around and go back down the hill 3 or 4 times, and you could gain that 30 seconds back pretty easily. And that's the thing, is like, it's a lot different than Supercross, because Supercross, everybody's so tight and the tracks are so much smoother and somewhat easier. So really, if you crash at all on a Supercross track, you're pretty much screwed, bro. And the thing about a track like this is you have a chance to catch back up, and not only that, but even if you're pretty good at trail tracks, you can still mess up just because of the difficulty of them in general. So for instance, if you find what you might call a pro trail rider on MX Simulator, I guarantee you they're still going to crash on this track quite often because that's just the way it is. You know, you're trying to get over a log, but it's just tricky just in its own right. So, and I know this section right here is a little bit on the basic side, but I didn't want to get into putting so much crap on the track that it just lagged all over the place, and then you couldn't even ride on the track. I can't stand tracks like that, but because it's like, man, that would have been a really cool track and it looks really amazing, but I can't even ride on it because there's too many statues and objects and it's lagging all over the place. And that's something where I have what you might call somewhat of a mid-range PC, so I feel like I can get a pretty good base of, if it's not really lagging for me, it shouldn't lag for the general audience out there. So I think I've got that part of it pretty figured out, and so I think a lot of you guys will realize that some of my older tracks may lag a little bit here and there just depending on which one you're on and stuff like that, but for the most part they're all pretty solid. I mean, I really, that's something that goes through my mind, is like, do not put too many objects on the track, do not put too many decals on the track. I'm always trying to minimize those things to make sure you're getting the smoothest gameplay experience for the amount of track you're riding on. So this is a long trail track, and it's going to have probably a little more lag than some of my supercross tracks, but it's definitely nothing to some other tracks I've seen out there before, and it's just all about that object and decal management. And once you figure out how to do that, then it's not really that difficult. But you guys can see all the crazy sections, got some logs, got some water sections, and in all these water sections they're really slick, so it's just like you would be riding in water in real life. It's not, the dirt is not the same traction as the water sections on this track, so just remember that. And that's the same way with pretty much all of my trail tracks out there. So, and with a lot of my other tracks, the trees on the trail tracks are actually collidable even though they're billboards, because I figured out a little tricky way to make that work. A lot of times people will try to go in there and actually put tree statues, and that will cause a crap load of lag instantly because the statues take up a whole lot more space. But I figured out a way to put a billboard in a place and then actually put an invisible statue where the billboard was. So it's actually quite smart what I did. It's pretty clever. I mean, I usually don't just say, oh yeah, I was kind of smart for doing that, because I'm just a common sense dude. I think of myself as pretty normal. I mean, well, there's a lot of the world that's not very smart. Don't let me try to sound cocky, but a lot of the world just does not use their brain, and just understand where I'm coming from here. But like, I just use my brain as a normal person. You can figure out a lot of things. I'm trying to be a little bit inspirational here. Like, just use your brain, man. Common sense will get you further than 99% of places in your life. I mean, it really will. And that's what I thought of. Like, oh, well, if these statue trees are taking up a lot of space, why can I not just put a billboard tree down that doesn't, sometimes the billboard trees will move a lot whenever you get really close to them. So I had to find certain types of billboards that didn't move a whole lot, so that it was a little more accurate to, like, what felt like you was hitting the tree, or what looked like you was hitting the tree was you actually hitting the tree. So then I had to find a statue that was small enough like a tree. Then I had to go in there and do some little clever things with how I actually did, like, the coding in there, so I could figure out what showed up and what didn't. So therefore now I have a system where I've got billboard trees, but then I've got invisible statues, so it's sort of like having a collidable billboard. And that's something that, any of you guys can do a lot of different things like that. Don't just stay to the standard following the script of life. Like, break out of the box a little bit, try some things, and you'll really surprise yourself with some things you can figure out and some things you can learn. And, the brain took us from cavemen to what we are today. So you never know what the next step is. You see what I mean there? So I'm getting off on some crazy Spencer Turley topic here, but sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so track link in the description. It's the same link I've always had for this track, so never have to worry about that. But yeah, I'll be getting some more custom tracks out pretty soon. So thanks for watching the video. Later, dudes.